Timmy had had a hard life in his short 3 years. His father was a cruel man who blamed the world for his problems and took out his anger on those around him. His mother, Mary, had been too often the target of that anger. But when his father directed the anger at Timmy, Mary knew she had to leave. So one night she took Timmy and disappeared without a trace. Eventually, after weeks in shelters, she found a job at an old hotel that boarded her and Timmy in exchange for help looking after the place. But Timmy still hadn't started talking. Mary was concerned, but the doctor said there was nothing wrong and Timmy would talk when he was ready. So Mary spent time with him every day, making sure he felt loved and safe. She'd hold him and read to him and teach him words like mommy and home and sky and friend. He still didn't talk, but at times he'd smile at her or look off in the distance and point and laugh, so she was content. One night, Mary awoke to the sound of someone trying to open the door. She figured it was just a guest who had the wrong room. But then she heard a crash and was immediately awake. She grabbed Timmy and ran into the bathroom. There she locked the door, hid under the bathroom counter, and prayed. Minutes went by, and then Mary heard the voice she'd prayed never to hear again. Mary, Mary, I know you're in there. Mary gripped Timmy tightly and prayed her husband could not enter, and for a moment she thought her prayers were answered. Then she heard a crack, and the door caved in, and the man who haunted her nightmares stood before her. Mary was desperate to protect Timmy, but she'd never been able to stop her husband before, and knew she couldn't now. Please don't hurt our son, she begged with tears in her eyes. This is what you deserve. Ha! Mary backed away, but she hit the rear of the bathroom and had nowhere else to go. She closed her eyes and prayed to God and St. Nicholas to protect her son. Suddenly Mary heard a strange noise and opened her eyes to the sight of her husband floating in midair, clutching desperately at his neck. As he struggled, a panicked look came over his face, and his body twisted and began to fold in on itself. Limb by limb, he jerked and contorted until the last of him disappeared into nothingness, leaving only the fading echo of his screams. Shocked, Mary stared at the empty space where her tormentor had been. Glancing at the mirror, she saw the air shimmering faintly. Disbelieving, she looked down at her son, who pointed at her excitedly. "Mommy," he said, the first word he had ever spoken. Then he pointed at the space above where his father had been. "Friend," Timmy said, and smiled.